On this week's I Hate Numbers, I'm going to be looking at a topic that has opportunity as well as risk, and that's the idea of partnerships, more particularly partnerships that can be successful. Now, whether you're thinking of teaming up with another freelancer, joining forces with a fellow artist, starting a creative business with a friend, partnerships are a very powerful device, but they can also be a proverbial pain where it hurts, both financially and emotionally as well. Let's explore what makes a successful partnership, and I'm going to walk you through the key steps, those inevitable red flags to watch out for, and how to protect yourself both financially and emotionally from those partnership pitfalls. Now stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll be partnership savvy and ready to collaborate with confidence. Now, why do partnerships matter? Now, working in partnership can supercharge not only your creativity, but also aid your business growth faster than if you went by yourself. You've got somebody to bounce ideas off, you can share the workload, and when you've got the right person, you combine your strengths like creative dynamite. It's that old synergistic relationship of 2 + 2 not equals 4, but equals 5. But let me be straight. If you do pick the wrong partner, and I've seen many examples of that over 30 years in business, or you skip the groundwork, you could end up in a nightmare of stress, resentment, or even legal battles. Now, there is an analogy. Think about going into a relationship on an emotional sense. If you end up with the wrong person, well, fill in the gaps. So let me break this down. Now, in the beginning, you need to start with what I call shared values. It doesn't mean you choose somebody who's a carbon copy of you, who shares your tastes in music, food, entertainment, but there's got to be shared business values. Now, that might sound a little bit fluffy, and it may be something you overlook, but it's the bedrock of any good partnership. Now, for myself, I run my businesses with partners, and I've gone through that same process myself of doing that due diligence and doing the preparatory work. Now, ask yourself these questions at the beginning. Do you both want the same things from this business? Do you share the same views on money, time, creativity, and commitment? And can you trust each other when things get tough? Now, don't leave this to chance. Don't leave it to perception. You need to make sure you're 100% confident, or certainly 90% confident, that those things are in place. Because when tough times will come, and they will come, and if one of you is driven by passion and purpose, the other person just wants quick cash or not to do a great deal, you've got guaranteed conflict. So have the honest chat up front, discuss your shared vision. If your goals clash, press pause and work it out. I would also add, folks, talk about the money at the very beginning. So how do you see the money being shared? Who does what? What happens if one of you wants to leave the partnership, the joint venture, and go your separate ways? Talk about the things that most people will put to one side. Don't assume that your partnership will work out. Have the conversation. If you can't have the conversation at the beginning, when are you going to have that conversation? Thirdly, look for some degree of proven track record. Now, it doesn't mean they have got to have their trophy cabinet stuffed with business awards, or they've got to be in business for 20 plus years, but they've got to have some understanding, some awareness, and some experience of being able to follow through on their commitments. Have they delivered before? Have you seen them work in similar circumstances? Have you ever collaborated before, or do you know anybody who has worked with them before? Even if it's on a small scale, where's the evidence? Where's the proof that it's going to work out? Now, sometimes you don't have that proof, so you've got to trust instinct, but you need to at least think about these things at the beginning. One advisable thing is, if you're going to work together and you're thinking of working together for the long haul, do a little mini project first of all. Once you have that reality of things being delivered and money is in the equation, that will tell you a lot more about that person you're working with than 1,000 promises ever could. Talk is cheap, commitment is extra. Now, great partnerships are like great bands. You don't need 2 drummers, you don't need 2 lead singers, you need skills that are complementary. You need the ability to support each other. Now, one of you may be brilliant at creativity, the input, but actually hate admin. The other party in this partnership may be a whiz at marketing, budgeting, or logistics. What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the party? Now, if you're both good and you both want to do the same things, there's going to be a potential clash and you're going to duplicate effort. Partnerships aren't about duplication. They're about spreading and sharing the workload. If you fill those gaps, the magic can happen. Think of it like building a house. Somebody's going to bring the bricks, The other person's going to lay the foundations. You want to be building something together that has solidity behind it. Now, another important thing is clarity is king. Now, here's something many creatives skip: the roles and responsibilities. They're excited by the idea. They might be excited by working with the person they're talking to, but you've got to think about what you might consider the mundane. I don't consider it mundane, but it's roles and responsibilities. There's going to be a degree of clarity. Put it in writing. Be crystal clear about who does what and when. And even if you're mates, and there's a bit of a red flag there, and maybe more so if you're mates or members of the family, get it clarified, get it in writing. This avoids confusion, gives a greater clarity to what you're supposed to do, avoids those cross wires, which will happen, and it avoids resentment brewing up in the background. I think it's perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable and recommended. Write down who handles the money. If somebody's actually handling the money, make sure you both got access to the bank account. Transparency is important. Who's the one who talks to clients? Now, somebody might take the lead on this, but you've both got to be aware of what's going on. Who owns what? Any intellectual property is created? Who does it belong to? And ultimately, who makes the final decisions? Is this an equal partnership, or is it somebody who's the dominant person? Make sure you've got that clarity. Talk about as though you're a successful partnership that's been going for years and generating oodles of money and prospects and opportunities. This is going to save time now and massive headaches down the track. Do not assume. We know that cliche expression about assume. Don't make an arse of yourself. Don't wing it. Get clear and get it documented. Another thing you've got to consider is choosing the right structure. Now, if you're running a partnership, you've got a number of options. You could be two individuals who get together as freelancers for a common purpose. That's an option. You could actually formalize and form a general partnership, an unincorporated one. You could form a company where you've got shares in that company. You can become a limited liability partnership. If social enterprise is your thing, you could be a community interest company with shareholding or by guarantee, and you're both appointed as directors. Each one has got its own different legal and tax implications. Now, an unincorporated partnership, i.e. a partnership where there's no LTD at the end of it, means that if things hit the fan and things go wrong, you are both personally liable for everything, even if it's only one party that messes up. It also means, by the way, that what your partner does binds you to that agreement. Now, that's risky, as everything else in life, so make sure you speak to someone who's qualified and competent to give you that advice or input. Cough, cough. Don't leave things to chance. A really important ingredient in partnerships, successful ones that is honesty and hard talks. You can't cut the slack because somebody's a friend, a member of the family. Once you step into that business arena, the family and the friendship has to be put to one side, be civil and kind, but you look in this as a vehicle, as a way to actually deliver your why and make money at the same time. Partnerships thrive on honesty and transparency, not made up politeness, not sweeping things under the rug because you don't like conflict or confrontation. If something bothers you, you've got to say it respectfully, obviously, with kindness. If you can't say it at the beginning, when things get really tough, it's going to build up and it's going to come out worse than you would like it to. Don't let those issues simmer. They will eventually build up and explode like a pressure cooker. Feel safe enough to challenge each other, admit your mistakes, which you will make, speak openly about money, workload and future plans. That's how you go about building trust, and that's how you survive. There's a bit of an extra challenge when it comes to friends who are part of your partnership. Don't mix up friendship and business blindly. Something will suffer. If you're going into business with a friend, that can be wonderful. You both know each other, but you know each other in a friendship context. But you've got to treat the business like a business. Your friendship doesn't pay the bills. Your friendship doesn't protect you when things go wrong. So when you start creating logos, discussing business ideas, clients and pricing, you've got to put on a different hat. It's as though a different personality has to take over. From pals to partners, mates to co-managers, and manage your boundaries. Separate out the business and the personal. Be professional. Be businesslike. Be creative. Grab those opportunities, but don't make excuses for somebody because they happen to be a friend. Now, I mentioned earlier about putting things in writing, and I'm an absolutely big believer of this. We're not talking about a war and peace agreement. We're not talking something where you've got to get big lawyers involved, but you've got to be able to articulate it, because putting it in writing gives clarity, gives understanding, and it gives you a reference point as to what's happening. And for me, it's non-negotiable. Put your agreement in writing. That means you've got a proper partnership agreement. You're not saying it because you think things are going to go wrong, but it actually gives everybody purpose and clarity. Now, this is not something on a handshake or a napkin scribble, not a casual email. It's a proper document that covers how profits are shared, who owns what happens if one of you wants out, bringing people in, how to resolve disputes, what happens if that horrible thing happens, if somebody dies and becomes ill, who can make decisions. All those things have got to be reflected in. And again, if you find it uncomfortable, then maybe you shouldn't be going into a partnership. If somebody doesn't want to sign or commit and thinks you should just do it on a handshake, to me, that's a bit of a red flag. You're protecting the business, not showing distrust. It's a normal business practice. I've drawn up partnership agreements for many, many clients that I've worked with over 3 decades. Get your lawyer, get your accountant. Again, cough, cough. It's going to be worth that investment of time, energy, and money. Like I said, have that what-if conversation. So before the money starts going ka-ching, before things get busy, have the what-if conversation. So what happens if you have different priorities next year? What happens if one of you wants to leave? What happens if the business grows faster than you can manage? The best time to plan for problems is when they haven't happened yet. Now let's recap. For a successful creative partnership, share the same values and goals. Choose a partner with a solid track record. If they're relatively new to the game, then make sure you've got something that gives you comfort that you're doing the right thing. Look for complementary skills, not identical skills. Be honest, be open, be transparent, and be willing to have those hard chats. And on transparency, something like digital accounting enables somebody to keep the records, but you both got access to what's going on. When you start hiding financial transactions, you don't make somebody aware of what's going on, then that can create mistrust. Define your roles clearly, get the right legal structure, and put it in writing. Plan for the what-ifs. Contingency planning, forward thinking has got to be a good thing. Now, it might feel awkward to you at first, but let me tell you, it's far better than picking up the pieces of a partnership that's hit the skids. Trust me. Now, if you're thinking of starting a creative business with a partner or already have one, you want to get your finances, structure, and agreements in order, you know what to do? Drop me a line. Book a call with me, and I'll help set up your partnership for success. Now, hopefully you found this episode helpful. I'd love it if you could share it with your creative network. Until next time, plan it, do it, and profit.